Hey guys, Jack Spirko here at 9 Mile Farm, and it's that time of the year where spring has sprung and things are just so pretty right now. And I spent some time this weekend getting some stuff done, and I thought maybe you and I and Lucy there would just take a walk and see a little bit of what's currently going on our property. For those that are new maybe to my YouTube channel or what have you, we moved into this property I guess almost 6 years ago now. And the area you're looking at was pretty barren. It actually had a hard time even growing grass. And this little section we're going to walk through here is a about 3/4 acre food forest. And this is call this the duck peach because ducks planted it. Either a duck or a goose planted this tree. This is a grown from seed peach, produced a little bit last year. Looks like it's going to produce pretty well for us this year. And it was just a peach pit that either a goose or a duck played with and ended up getting planted. One of our plums over there, I mean, that thing is just full bloom. A lot of the other trees aren't out of dormancy yet. These are black locust support trees. There's a pear right there. That said, that's a pear right there, and that particular pear is gone ahead and leafed out. This is one of my favorite trees on the property. Thanks to Nick Ferguson, we call this the Plano Man apricot. I actually believe it's a Blenheim apricot. But last year was the first year it actually produced anything in quantity for us. This tree's had a habit of budding out way early, like in February, and then getting all the buds knocked off by a late frost. That did not happen this year. Late frost happened, but this guy here had not budded out. It sure is now. It's covered with bees, and it smells like a faint aroma of apricot. All I can see in my future is a lot of apricot mead this year. That tree's just loving life. Another one of our peaches right there. Little swallowtail butterfly coming in to help pollinate. So there's some road noise and all, but I mean, this is really kind of urban fringe homesteading, right? We're in a rural area on the fringe of the urban. I really think it's kind of a sweet spot for a lot of people. Yeah, the bees are just covered in Plano Man apricot. Maybe someday I'll tell you why we call it that. But it was Nick Ferguson that did it. You know, 4 or 5 years of running ducks in here, and we really actually made something of the ground. A lot of the early wildflowers and things like that aren't quite out yet. The wild garlic's not out yet. But plantain's coming in nice. Here's that poor peach tree that I didn't prune last year and I had to butcher it. I'm not happy about it. I don't know if it'll survive, but I did my best. There's a nectarine right there, nicely leafed out. There's a whole bunch of stuff budded, flowered out down that way. I want to take you up to the top side of everything here. We're not gonna do a full walk through there. Just a little bit of stuff that's going on. Go up here by the Miyagi Pond. See if any of our goldfish are hanging out where you can see them. A few of them in there. There's about 7 really big goldfish. Bunch of various sunfish in there as well, some catfish. Doing well. There's another pear that has started to flower. I don't remember what kind of pear that is. But let's cut up through here. That's a pluot. Half plum, half apricot, looking real good. Autumn olives are all leafed out. They'll be in flower soon. They're kind of opposite of a lot of the fruit trees. You know, they put a flower on and then they leaf out. Autumn olive will first leaf out, then it flowers, and it is one of these plants I just love because of the smell of the blossoms. And it's weird. It's like a fade and ebb and flow of odor. You'll smell this incredible honeysuckle type smell. Another plum. That's a plum, yeah. Flowers are starting to fall off, but that's an almond. We may get a reasonable almond harvest this year. Its little brother's over there. It did okay, but this tree was swarmed with bees just a week ago. Come up over here. Talk about some of the stuff that happened this weekend, but I'm not sure if this tree's already started to come out of its blossom stage, but it was yeah, they're fully open now, but Man, this thing and this tree right here was covered too. So was this one. This one got hit by the late frost though. It held its flowers, but I'm not sure that it's going to set fruit for us. Just this weekend, let's talk about some of the stuff we did this weekend. We had a bunch of stuff planted in the wicking beds. These wicking beds all trail back to that 300-gallon tank with those 2 ebb and flow beds there. I actually planted corn here just to prove it can be done. Just some Bantam corn we'll have by June, and we'll transition this into something else at that point. That's actually going to be Jerusalem artichokes mainly coming up in there. Some broccoli, lettuces, got some carrots in between, were just sown, so this will be a nice little vegetable yield. We still need to this year get at least 2 more of these beds installed. I'm really thinking 4 more. We'll have 8 total 4x4 beds. So this all got rehabbed this weekend. It was a long weekend, man, but these beds really needed help. Needed new layers of mulch and everything on them, so that all got done. Fertility additions. It's not a Duck Chronicles, but the ducks are here. Oh, the ducks laid eggs for the first time this morning. We found 1 egg a couple days ago under the deck, but we actually had eggs in the holding area this morning. 2 of them, so from there it only gets better. Let's take a look at our little pond system here for y'all that ain't seen it before. These 3 tanks are the top of the system. They overflow to that tank, that overflows to that tank, and that tank feeds back up here. But I always talk about water biology in my systems. You want crystal clear water? How's that? That's mountain stream quality clear right there, ain't it? Let that big old koi just pop out. That koi's probably a $300 fish, that golden one with the long fins. He's happy living here. He's not going anywhere. One of the big old goldfish there. They've been spawning up there in those weeds. It's just full of minnows. Massive numbers of minnows. Kind of cleaned this all up, worked on the return lines, got them all cleaned out. They clog up, you know, over time. So did a little maintenance. Wildflowers are starting to come in. These are some of the early ones. I don't remember what they're called. Everybody calls them a weed. They look like a flower to me. But still way up. Here's the big thing that happened this weekend. This was a lot of work too. Aviary, yeah. You can see I got the shade cloth off the aviary. It'll stay off the aviary till at least June. And we planted, I want to say 40 plants in here this weekend. And of course it had all the overgrowth and all. I hadn't done nothing all winter with it. So this whole place had all the old growth. We got 1 bed that was a deep water bed. We're going to go ahead and turn that into a soil bed this year like the rest of these. But this, as you can see, there's still some stuff up there, but it was all overgrowth. We cleared it all out, crunched it all up, put some of it back down as mulch. Came in here, put down about a layer that much of new soil, and then a nice thick layer of mulch. We got our pepper plants put in. Got tomatoes in each one. So each one of these beds right now has 4 pepper plants. These are Cuban L peppers. Then I got 3 beds of jalapenos. Mammoth jalapenos are my favorite pepper to grow, is jalapenos. And so 3 beds of jalapenos. Then we got a red bell, green bell, and 1 bed of Anaheim peppers. And that'll be about as many peppers as we can use. The quail are happy. There's Mr. Quail right there. That is Mr. Quail. That's a male. Got to come in here this morning. Still ain't picked up eggs yet this morning. People say, how do you get quail eggs when you have them running around? We just pick them up. You know, they just lay them. Here's some here. They just lay them and we just pick them up. Actually, I get my grandson in here to do it. I don't do it much on the weekends. I might pick them up once in a while. When it gets hotter, I'll have to. Right now, these eggs can sit out here for a day or 2. They're not going to happen to them. The quail ain't going to brood on them. But when they lay back in spots like that, I get my grandson to go back in there. It's easier on my back. But kind of that's what we did this weekend. I think the big news is this whole system's coming out of aquaponics. Right now you can see those lines. They bring water in from the aquaponics system in the greenhouse. I've put in so much aquaponics on the rest of the property. We got that big pond project coming next month right there. That I've decided I want to free the space up in this greenhouse. So I am going to be pulling these IBCs out. I don't know if I'm going to sell them, trade them, or use them in another project. But what I want to do in here is really open this up so it's not so crowded anymore. And I really don't need to be doing all this for a couple ebb and flow beds. And so those wicking beds, there's a lot of options there. We got well water, we can just plumb water because they're just wicking beds, so we can just plumb that water to them. When we put the pond in, who knows, we might run return lines off the pond. That might be something we do. I don't know, but I want to really open this up and get more use out of it. And I have those big 4x4 containers that you saw the wicking beds built out of in the other aquaponic system. I have 10 of those. I really only need 8 of them there, so I might put one each where one of these are. Big difference is they're only about that tall, so you can work on them and use them as little beds. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in here yet, but one big thing, this is that Tough Tech stuff they sell like Home Depot and Lowe's. This stuff's going out. It's going to get replaced with double wall insulated proper greenhouse panels. Polycarb too, but I've not been impressed with the longevity of the Tough Tech's product at all. I've got cracking in it. It's yellowed. You can see here it's cracked. So we're going to upgrade this greenhouse. That'll be a project. It's kind of one of those ones I'll get to it when I get to it. Not a real sense of urgency, but definitely want it done. The whole thing by the time winter comes back next year. But big thing is, before I go on vacation, I want those IBCs out of there. That's one less thing for my caretaker to worry about fish dying or whatever. But that's where we're at right now. I woke up this morning, I think it was like 36 degrees. No danger of freezing, but still chilly. Right now, it's only a few hours later, and it is about 65 and beautiful. Folks, I'd take this weather, and I'm sure the ducks would too. Take this weather all year if we could get it. Come on, guys, let's go for a walk here at the end. I gotta tell you one more thing too before I wrap up with y'all today. This going down to 10 ducks instead of 150 commercial flock that we used to have, that's worked well for us. I had my first duck eggs in a long time this morning for breakfast. Wife made them over easy for me. I usually don't eat much bread, but I had those on toast. Fantastic. And you know, I've always said, like, taking care of a lot of ducks isn't much more work than taking care of a few ducks. It's not true. These guys here, man, there's almost no work to them. I only feed them a couple times a week. They get a couple of scoops in their feed bin. And right now, I got 15 quail in there. Those quail are going through more feed than these guys are. These guys are using very little feed because, well, look, it's a bounty. Those of you that followed me when I started out, you'll understand something a lot of people don't when you look at my foot down there. Yeah, I know it's a crock in this grass. This property grows vegetation like this now. Well, not them, because they're new, but their ancestors, the first ducks came on this property that we ran in that big flock, they did all this. They did all this. To see a forest emerging here. And I say emerging, this is a forest. I now live in the middle of a friggin' forest. This was one of the most desolate pieces of land in the dadgone county when I moved into it. People made fun of me when I moved in here, when I told them what I was gonna do. Now we're having to clear brush out. I just cleared all that out for the wife for a bird feeding station. You just can't keep stuff from growing here. Now, even with the drought we had last year, you know, everything that made it has come back and come down to our first little orchard we had put in here. My word. Just everything exploding. There's a little goomy. I bought that from Raintree. They said it's a sweet scarlet seedling goomy or something. The goomies I've gotten good fruit off are like big as a small grape. These things are like more like an autumn olive, but they taste good. Oh, nectarines, peaches, plums, all doing really well. Been waiting for my first Satsuma plum, and this little bitty tree here that forked that low when we put it in, never fruited yet. I kind of think it's going to this year. Mulberries are not quite ready to make things happen yet. The reason I even keep this going, so all the elderberry coming up there, I want to come down here and see if we're getting any fruit set here, and I can't see any yet. This is a Nanking cherry. This is a plant that does really good in northern climates. It certainly lives here. I've gotten very little fruit set on it. It was completely covered in blossoms. It was also covered in blossoms when we got hit with temperatures in the high teens for 3 nights in a row. So I'm not sure, even though it held blossoms, if it's gonna set. it doesn't look like it. Now, rather and on more of an up note, but it's hard to be disappointed. It is really hard to be disappointed right now, isn't it? Just flowers everywhere. And we're just getting started. It's still March. I'll have to get you guys an update in about 2 or 3 weeks when all the apples blossom and everything else hits up. Anyway, till then, hope you enjoyed today's walk. We'll catch you later.